Agriculture is an art, a science that gives rise to civilizations and sustains life through the cultivation of soil, growth of crops, and raising of livestock. This industry has succumbed to numerous injustices, something that lacks fairness or justice. A wide variety of respect and treatment is unevenly distributed among farmers. For instance, the prosperity of local and organic farms is hindered by larger farms because few people rather purchase the cheap surplus of produce rather than divulge in the more expensive local and organic products. However, this action causes more harm to the farmers and the consumers. Unlike the big companies like Dole, Libby's, Del Monte, etc., the local and organic farms stray from using detrimental chemicals such as pesticides and herbicides. The technique that those farmers use is more strenuous and expensive, explaining the price of their products. Therefore, farmers gain more profit from local and organic purchases, while consumers gain the freshest and tastiest product there is.
We look to the charisms to see how they guide us to understand the correct approach to address the issues in agriculture. Hospitality establishes a loving and inviting environment that crosses borders of every sort. In agriculture, hospitality encourages the establishment of a healthy and comfortable environment for farmers to cultivate and work in. The United States Department of Agriculture strives to make working in agriculture more hospitable by improving the health of farmlands through preservation and management of our natural resources. This allows the agricultural resources that are grown in the United States to contribute to and enhance global food security. Option for the Poor is showing special care to those that need it the most. In order to live out this Holy Cross charism, you must get rid of your own wants and focus on serving the less fortunate. In the agriculture industry, the farmers are seen as the poor ones. A farmer faces unfair working conditions and regulations that is not properly compensated in their wages. This then results to farmers not being able to support their families and themselves. Option for the Poor calls us to distribute the resources equally, protecting our basic human rights.
The Catholic social teaching values the dignity of work and rights of workers. This premises infers that the labor is persisting involvement in God's creation. Therefore, employment is beyond the means of producing income. According to the House Committee on Agriculture, in the past 3 years, the net earning of farmers has depreciated 45%. This deficit is the largest 3-year drop since the start of the Great Depression. The net income is foreshadowed to drastically decrease by 50%. This descent began in 2013 and is unceasing. This correlates with another motive of the Catholic social teaching, care for God's creation. As humans, it is our vocation to protect one another in our home, which accounts for the agriculture industry as well. Farmers are not to be subject to abuse and exploitation by their employers, and the earth is to be shielded from pesticides that harm humans and other life forms, including the planet's essential nutrients.
Through our research, we were exposed to various facts that truly illustrate the injustices in agriculture, which, in turn, strengthened our awareness. There are approximately 2 to 3 million farm workers in the United States who are subjected to many issues, including low wages and inadequate health care. Farmers also endure long hours of the day in dangerous working conditions. In fact, agriculture is one of the top 3 most dangerous occupations in the United States. However, the corruption does not end there. Farm workers encountered substandard housing and lack of access to education for their children. Without a chance at academic success, children as young as 12 are issued to work in the fields. Approximately 70% of all children experience child labor, work on agricultural land, the majority belonging to immigrants. The organic products that these laborers produce has seen a growth rate of 7.7% in 2010, compared to 2009, but organic foods only account for 4% of all food products sold in the United States, which is not nearly enough.
We were able to interview Dr. Anna Loki, the Case Western Reserve University farm director and a member of the greater Cleveland community, who is combating the injustices in agriculture. She is the current chairwoman of the university's farm food program. which is a program that educates faculty and students about sustainable agriculture using mainly organic methods that provide fresh food to the campus. Loki recommends that farmers and consumers should convert to organic farming and products when available. But people should know their limitations because the increasing demand for all organic food from the same source is too difficult to produce with the intense labor that the minuscule number of farmers must exercise in order to achieve such products.
We also had the opportunity to interview Noah Yutzi, a hardworking farmer employed at Geauga Farms. He takes on the difficult task of teaching his 3 children how to take care of crops, animals, and the responsibility involved in the industry. Throughout the interview, we discussed his methods of farming, opinion of pesticides, and how the community can help. One pesticide that he uses is called Sluggo. This kills all the harmful slugs that feeds on his crops he's trying to grow. And he warns that using pesticides on crops is a process that you shouldn't jump headfirst into and expect everything to go smoothly. It requires a different line of thinking. You can't just dump a bunch of fertilizer on it and watch it grow.
Noah Yotzi is very dedicated to his farm, working non-stop all day. One thing he said we can do to help is to be aware. Being aware of where your food comes from and the work that's put into it makes you reflect upon the choices you make regarding nourishment for family and yourself.
The Praxis cycle initiated contemplation of the agricultural industry, an industry that is often overlooked and ignored. We now understand the importance of respecting the hardworking farmers who produce the food that sustains life on Earth. There is already a shortage of these laborers, and without them, the ever-growing human population would be without food. The usage of agricultural chemicals is correlated with the injustices of farmers by deterring the health of the operator and consumer. However, it does not have to be this way.
The government and people have the power. The government has the power to make the rules and determine the wages, while people have the power to help make a difference for the powerless farmers. In order to be a supporter of organic production and farming, it is highly encouraged to purchase organic and fair trade commodities. If we do this, we will increase the quality of both our lives and farmers' lives by improving our own health and increasing a farmer's earnings.
Nonetheless, our farmers cannot produce everything consumers need. Consumers want all organic food from the same source, and it is too difficult. If people want organic food, then we need more farmers to feed people organically.
In order to understand such struggles of farmers, we had the opportunity to volunteer at the Benjamin Franklin Community Garden, 5 acres of land dedicated to cultivate and harvest produce that will be donated to food banks. We were included in the cultivation of the garden, in preparation of future harvesting, learning about the strenuous and various actions required to grow the food we eat. We began the service by transferring and planting raspberry and blackberry plants, and later went on to help with either planting seeds or clean up around the garden.
We also promoted Fair Trade's mission by preparing and dismantling the fair that Gilmore hosted in Lennon Boardroom. Fair Trade Day is an international celebration of one's commitment to fair trade and the planet. The fair consisted of a bakery made with fair trade chocolate and vendors that sold fair trade products.
We have learned about the hardships that many farmers go through. Farm workers, the producers of sustenance, are victims of wealth's unscrupulous manners. The deficit a farmer receives does not give them enough money to purchase proper farming equipment, health care, and resources for the family. In response to this income shortfall, farmers resort to the usage of pesticides to save money, increasing their vulnerability to pesticide exposure and consumers' vulnerability to health issues related to ingestion of chemicals. Many farmers are oblivious to the symptoms of pesticide exposure, including vomiting, headaches, nausea, and diarrhea, and are unable to escape them because they remain in the air, water, food, and soil. This kind of exposure is not supported by healthcare because the majority of farmers are immigrants with a limited access to health insurance. The use of agricultural chemicals does not protect farmers, consumers, and the land of which the food is grown. Moreover, violating the beauty that God has granted us and our promise to take care of our home. Our way of thinking progressed from charity to justice over the course of Praxis. At first, our mindsets were directed towards charity because we were responding to the immediate needs with direct service and individual acts. Now, we realize that the injustices require collective actions that respond to agriculture's long-term needs, because it is our responsibility to conserve God's creations.
The injustices in agriculture are an unfortunate reality in our world today. Many farmers face the reality of having to live with lower income and dangerous working conditions whilst not having adequate housing or benefits. These workers also use potentially dangerous chemicals that cause harm not only to their own health, but the health of consumers and the environment as well. In addressing these problems, we, the consumers, have to be aware of these issues and use our power in the industry to try to change it. Awareness is what is needed most because once people recognize that there are issues that directly impact them, then they can work together to make a solution. These injustices in agriculture affect global and local communities by deterring the health of humans and their environment. By supporting local or fair trade farms and produce, we are helping to assist farmers in supporting themselves and their families.